Taco, my dear friend Taco. Um, Ninth episode of our therapy session. Um, I'm still having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I stopped seeing my actual therapist because of how much good this is doing for my mental health.
I don't know if you're going to live to regret
They
that
they
decision, but
they they tried to push back. They're like, but that's not Hutch isn't a real therapist like that. You can't possibly be getting. But it's like, no, I feel really good, and that's what matters, right?
it
Yeah.
is what matters. It is. And I know that we're probably going to spend most of this podcast talking about only two subjects. So, and those are deep, fundamental philosophical subjects that cut to the core of being,
Yeah.
of existence. So, should we try and do something first? Like, have we got any Web3
I've
news?
I've actually had a pretty
What's the latest?
busy Web3 degen week that
I
I've
love
bought
it.
into
Tell
a
me about it.
few different projects. The first is one you're probably familiar with because it relates to Betty and the Dead Fellas. They have their
Oh
card
no.
game Death Touch, which is in development, and they released a few cards for that, like the first baseline card. And Las Vegas Lance actually sent me a link to it and said, "Hey, go mint this." I didn't even know that's what game they were
Yes.
working on. I knew they were working on a game. I didn't know that was it. But I'm like, oh, yeah, of course. And so I went and minted some. I minted three because that's the magic degen number, right? It's one to hold, it's one to
Hmm.
flip, and one is your moon bag. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, one's forever, one's to sell at the peak, and one is to normally. I mean, the thing that used to be the case, right? You would sell the first one when it paid for the other
Right,
two.
right. Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was the
And then one you hold in one, it's going to be my $1 million card. Uh, my next degen move is RNG Crypto sent me a link to a project I'd never heard of. And if you ask me
Mm.
right now the name of the project, I cannot tell you. But I still followed the link and minted it just because he said um, something like, here's a low cost mint full degen mode or something like that. And it's like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Was it the anime
Yes,
one? Was it
yes.
the anime one?
I don't know what that
Mm.
is.
I I mean, I had a look at that. I thought it was really interesting, but also when you work out how many NFTs there are, what the total take would be, it's about 30 grand. And I was like, who's making an anime on 30 grand?
Yeah, probably nobody.
But I don't know. I
I think they're doing a pretty no,
That's not
I
the
think
point.
they're doing a pretty clever thing though, which of course he told me later, was they have different series, and if you collect all the series, then you get another NFT because you have that set. But that's asking so much of me. And now it's asking a lot of RNG Crypto because now he is going to be forced to send me all the follow up links to things so that I can get the series because I'm not going to follow
Mhm.
it. I'll click the link, I'll mint the thing,
Mm.
and then mostly I'm out unless it's a project that I really care about for one reason or another. So now I have some of this NFT also. I don't know what it is, except you're right. It is some kind of anime.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love the spirit of it, though. I love how committed you are still to the space. I've basically checked out now. Like, obviously, I want to keep up with my blue
Hmm.
chips, right? I'm very excited about that, but it is going to take a full scale NFT bull run for me to get excited about NFTs again. Just simply because like all of the promise and the excitement and the mysticism just doesn't work on me
Yeah.
anymore. That like it, the real exciting financial gains were to be had because the market was
Hmm.
pumping, and now actually, Good Vibes Club is the only one that I'm annoyed that I didn't get in. I'm very annoyed because the art is beautiful, and I keep coming back to that. Actually, maybe that's my baseline was always, is the art great? Would I hold this if it
Yeah.
went to zero? And the Good Vibes Club is the only one that I've seen that I was like gutted. I didn't
Yeah.
grab.
They're good. I also last night bought into a different other new project called The Peculiars because I was speaking on a space with the uh, Hostile Crypto Hogs, and the Peculiars guy was on there, and they were all talking about it. And I guess one of the things I like about the Hostile Crypto Hogs is that they're sort of like the middle hub to a whole bunch of other NFT communities, and they were all talking about it. And so
Mm.
I went and minted one. I think it was like $30, which is to get into a new community and to show support. I think is that's a good cutoff for me.
That feels like the right price for an NFT
Yeah,
these
just
days. What chain was it on?
oh Solana. It was it was it
It
was on
doesn't matter to me.
it was on
I couldn't even tell you
It
what
was on
chain it was on.
Solana. That one I know. The anime one gave me trouble because I clicked the link and I couldn't mint it because on some random chain, and I told RNG Crypto that, and he said no, if you use the new OpenSea um, version 2, which I hadn't done yet, it'll do cross chain stuff. So that's
Mm.
how I got the. If I have to find a new chain and then go get the token, move the token. If I have to jump through any of those hoops, I'm out. I'm not doing any of it. And so I don't know. That's not on a real chain.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's not on a real chain. It's on a chain I'm familiar with. Uh, but I did it because OpenSea was like, we're going to take care of it for you because you're old now and don't want to go through the work.
I mean, gone are the days. I mean, I haven't added a new chain to MetaMask in
Mm-hmm.
years. So yeah, any kind of admin that I'm required to do for. To be honest, I have gone and gotten the Death Touch cards, but even that was like probably a little bit on the. If it wasn't dead, I wouldn't have done it for any other project. It's too
Yeah.
much admin.
Yep. 100% agree. We're all on the same page here. If you're going to be on a different chain, an alt chain, we have to be able to get to it without actually doing any work, guys.
Okay, let's get into this deep philosophical debate. 100 men versus one gorilla. It has set the internet ablaze. Um, you commented on it in the Discord, and you said exactly the opposite of how I felt. So I don't know if you were doing that to be funny,
Here's the
but
thing I
I hope.
love about this debate. I think it grew legs because whichever side of this argument you're on, you really believe it. Like I haven't heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, I don't really know how that would end." You believe in the men or you believe in the gorilla, and that's it. And for me this
Mm.
feels like such a obvious, like dumb. Why are we even talking about this? Of course it's 100 men against one gorilla. Of course it is. I was listening to a sports talk radio podcast and it came up, and one of the guys who was a guest on the show said it's the gorilla, and then they went through the okay, but somewhere there's a line where you believe in the men, and he said yeah, probably around 175 men to beat a gorilla. A gorilla, Hutch. What are we talking about?
So I disagree with both of those statements. I think so, and also we have to draw the line, the boundaries
Of
of the
course.
argument, right? Because in my the one that was presented
Mm-hmm.
to me, it is in a philosophical plane of existence where no other tools or things
Yes.
exist, right? It is the physical strength of 100 men versus the physical strength of a gorilla. And I very much side with the gorilla because there is a maybe this is the self-preservation in me, but there is absolutely no way that if I and also I'm not even sure what the goal is here, right? Are we all in purgatory until the gorilla is dead, right? Is that the question? In which case, if the only way that you can physically restrain that gorilla is by piling on
Yep.
top of it, and by doing that, somebody is at the bottom, and all of the men will understand that if they go first, that they will be at the bottom of the pile and will surely meet their demise along with the gorilla, because the force that would kill the gorilla would also kill the men closest to the gorilla, and so that would stop any sort of engagement. The moment anybody piled on, everybody else would pile on the top, and everybody would hang back, and so the gorilla would never meet its demise, and I imagine would just wander around picking them off one by one, Because when a gorilla attacks one of them, everybody else would use that as an opportunity to move away from the gorilla, and so the gorilla could essentially just wander around. It could get tired, it could fall asleep. Those men are still not piling on it. Anybody that went and tried to physically restrain it would be left on their own, because everybody else knows it's only in the dog pile that the gorilla dies, and thus do all of the other men. And so it would be a one of the saddest things I can imagine, is the slow death of 100 men.
I asked Mrs. Taco this question, and she had 1,000 qualifying questions. Like, do we have tools? Where are we? Can we trick it? How long do we have to strategize? And it's like, for me, it was instantly, I don't know if just because men think differently. No, you're all just dropped into Thunderdome. The rules are either the gorilla
Mhm,
dies or the 100 men die, and all of them are
mhm,
there to fight. And that's just how it is. And they know, if the men know, if they don't kill the gorilla, like, the exercise is going to go on until. And also, for the record, I don't like this. I don't want to fight and murder a gorilla. And also, I'm going to go as far as to say I'm rooting for the gorilla in this exercise. I'm on the record. I want the gorilla to win this, but I think you're overestimating both participants. You think a gorilla is stronger
mm,
than it is, and you also think men are smarter than they are. There are absolutely going to be 40 or 50 guys who are going to be like, yeah, let's go right now. And we're going to immediately run in and start trying to grab arms and legs. And that gorilla's going to wear down. It's not, you're right. It's
yeah,
not
okay,
me. I'm
that's an
not going to be
interesting
the
point.
first one in. I'm going to be the guy be like, yeah, let's get him. And then, like, fade back against the,
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
the wall. Yeah.
But there's somebody being like, "Yeehaw, let's get that gorilla!" Like, they're gonna go in
Yes.
first,
Yes.
and you're going to welcome their sacrifice, because
Yeah.
ultimately it'll just be you stood at the
Wear
top of the
wear
pile
down the
going, "We
gorilla.
killed the
Like,
gorilla."
someone's gonna get in a haymaker that's gonna make the gorilla dizzy, concuss the gorilla. Someone's
No,
gonna
it's not.
accidentally gouge its
No,
eye. Like,
sorry.
this is absolutely the men.
I'm sorry. No, gorillas are built like tanks,
Of
Taco. Like,
course.
a human punch on a gorilla, it will only shatter the bones of the human, right? It will mildly irritate the gorilla. He is not going to get dizzy.
100 men. That's so many men.
Yeah, but they're not all punching at the same
No, but
time
I
with
think
that
even if
force,
they're
right?
just piling
If you
it,
if
if
you
they're
have
a couple, how many men would it take to all grab one gorilla arm? And so we're all just grabbing an arm and holding the gorilla down. Not that many.
what, holding him until he dies of starvation? Like, you can that thing that thing is like a man wrapped in a punching bag, right? Like, he is going to absorb. How many fists do you think can cover a human gorilla's face? A gorilla's face. Like, I don't think there are enough. I don't think there's enough surface area for even coordinated human punches to do the slightest bit of
A girl
damage.
is not indestructible, Hutch. It's not a superhero.
No, he's not. But to a man,
Could you
he
just
is,
suffocate it?
and to well, this is the thing. Like, the only way that I can see this happening is when there is enough physical force on top of the gorilla to
Yeah.
suffocate it or to crush it. And like I say, even then, I don't think that even the combined weight of 100 men would suffocate it. So we've got to talk, like, where's my number in the line of humans? Like, I think still the problem exists that only half are ever going to, are going to jump on thinking that this is a
Yeah.
good idea, and so even half needs to be the
Right.
number. So a thousand humans. You need half of them to be stupid enough to jump in, and then you probably need the weight of 500 humans to realistically suffocate a
No.
gorilla. And even then, it's going to take time.
27 dudes. Yeah.
27,
All of whom,
but they're not
I'm
armed.
gonna qualify this as who are all up for the fight, who are into it. Because you're right. Just take 100 men off the street. 80 of those guys, we'll do the 80-20 rule. 80 of those guys are not gonna fight the gorilla. They would just, like, I have to fight that gorilla. No way. You're right. They're gonna kind of just, like, try to
Okay, but
hide behind bodies. The gorilla's gonna find them and kill them one on one, pick them off. If I've got 27 guys who are
So
like,
if
yep, let's fight this gorilla, they're 100% going to take down a gorilla.
let me just point out in that argument, you just said 80% aren't going to do that. So only 20%, which means that if you'd had said 20 guys to do the gorilla, that would have been 100. But you said
Yeah,
27. So I think even in your own estimations,
20.
you still need more
20
than
guys.
100 men.
20 guys who want to fight a gorilla. Elon said he wants to be in the gorilla fight. He volunteered for it. 20 Elons versus a gorilla. Elon is taking down the gorilla.
I just can't, like, I'm not being funny. It's like, how many men would it take to punch through a steel girder? Like, increase the number of men loads. That steel girder is harder than the fist of a man by some considerable margin. So increasing the number of punches just makes more mushy hands, not
We're not talking
a
about a steel
broken
girder. We're
steel
talking
girder. You know,
about a living biological being that can be defeated.
you're talking you're talking about the steel girder of the animal kingdom.
No, the hippo is the steel girder of the animal kingdom.
I'll give you that. That
And
is the steel girder of
I'll
the
go as far as to
animal.
say it would take more men to defeat a hippo than it would to defeat a gorilla.
Mm. I mean, they're like one of the most dangerous animals
Yeah,
in the world,
yeah.
aren't they? Because people think that they're like,
Don't
oh, and then it,
never try to pet a hippo. That's my PSA for the day. So wow, it's nice that we're not on the same page in this.
not only your PSA, but that's the name
Yeah,
of the
I'm
podcast as well.
surprised
That's
we're
the
not on the
podcast
same
title.
page here. I think we're going to be.
I am I am too, and I like that we're not because I think I think you deeply underestimate how um resourceful a gorilla is, firstly, and then also like it will swat those men away like like flies. Like even if you take some like husky, like Southern American quarterbacks, right? Like they are good. Just boom, gone, boom, gone.
Husky Southern
Like
American.
he's gonna.
Yeah,
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 I watched Smallville
yeah.
when I was growing
From
up. Like
from the SEC, I would 100% know what you're talking about. Yep, you're right. But also, we're not all going one on one. Like some people are going to come in from behind. Like we're going to be able to get a rear naked choke on him. Yeah,
yeah, but you can only get one person to get a gorilla in a
and
rear
everyone
naked
else is
choke,
holding him.
and literally the gorilla just needs to go.
No,
"Uh, That's a broken arm. Like you can't hold a
we're
rear naked
holding
choke
him.
with a broken arm. That's a
One
broken arm
Elon
from
is
a
in the
gorilla.
back with a rear
And that
naked
guy's
choke. The
out.
rest are holding him. It's over. It takes so much energy to be punching these men. I don't. No, sorry.
I mean, I do love these philosophical discussions, but we'll have to
I,
agree to disagree.
yeah,
Um, but my money's on the gorilla.
I know
He's
that we're
fine.
no one's going to do this. Is there a world Elon could actually make this happen? He's got enough money. He could find a way somewhere. There's a country on this earth
Yeah,
where you
Russia,
could, yeah, Russia, that would
Russia.
host this and they could put it on, like, they'd make so much money streaming this. Oh my God. Find those.
Yeah,
And I think you could do it if you were to, let's say, take inmates and say, if you volunteer to be in this guerrilla fight, we'll take some time off your sentence or commute it entirely, which they've done for the
sometime,
war
sometime
or all of it. I don't.
they need to also win $10 million each.
You
Like
don't think they would do it just to for their sentence to be commuted?
I mean, that is certain
100
death.
death row inmates in Russian prisons. It's not certain death. I think they'd be confident. No one thinks you're the one who's going to die. Everyone thinks you're the one who's going to be there at the end.
I'm convinced if I am dropped into that scenario, I'm dead. I'm making peace with it. I'm the gorilla is. I will try and avoid the gorilla for as long as possible. And great if it gets physically exhausted, which it will not do before I get physically exhausted. So
In
I will
one-on-one
just
combat, I'm already
wait.
tired. I'm tired thinking about this scenario. You're right, but you could wait
Yeah,
behind, get the adrenaline. Yeah.
I'll dodge it. I'll dodge it as
Yeah.
long as I can, but I do know ultimately I will need to accept my fate, and I will walk to the gorilla and I will look him in the eyes as he swats me
But
like
you're smart
that.
enough. If you're in that scenario, you're probably not going to run in initially. But if you see all these guys fighting it and you recognize, oh man, there's only 20-ish guys left, you know you have to go into the fight and not just wait to be the last one.
Yeah, I also know that like one additional man isn't going to make all that much difference, so I'm just going to stand on the outside. And I mean, to be honest, I would also feel morally conflicted about sending people to their certain death, and then also being part of the reason for it by piling on. So I mean, I'm not a pacifist, but I definitely am not pro gorilla hunting.
No, no. And there aren't there
It's just
aren't enough people saying that when they talk about this. I don't, guys. I don't want a dead gorilla on any of our hands. I'm pro
yeah.
gorilla.
Imagine, imagine coming back from that. It's like you're just getting flashbacks of of all the people that had to die for the
Yeah,
gorilla to die. I mean, and also, do we take that into account? Because like either the gorilla dies or the 100 men die, but like if the gorilla dies and some of the men die, I don't think there are any winners here.
no. Some men are dying. Right. If even in my 20 Elon exercise, not all those Elons are going to survive. A good percentage probably won't survive.
Oh, hang on. So just 20 Elons, because I wouldn't even consider Elon to be particularly good physical specimen. Like
I
20 Dwayne the Rock Johnsons, understandable. 20, I don't know any of the UFC
yeah,
fighters, but Paddy the
yeah.
Baddies, right?
I like Elon's confidence. I like that Elon volunteered to be in the exercise, which is different. I think it's all about you have to have that belief in yourself, even if it's a little delusional, that we can do this. Me and my 19 clones can beat this gorilla.
Okay, let me give you a now that we're on this topic and we've got a little more time left before we get into our next big philosophical problem. Um, one
Yes.
gorilla versus one
Yeah.
Elon, but Elon gets a month to build an Iron Man suit.
Okay. Uh, Qualifying question. Is he in
Yeah.
the cave under the same constraints?
He's not, but he also is not allowed projectiles and he's not allowed like sharp edges. So he can't stab the
Okay.
gorilla. He has to build a power suit to
Yeah,
fight
a
the
power
gorilla.
suit. Power suit over gorilla. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
He has a month to plan and build the
Interesting.
suit. That's
Good.
so long.
Well, it is, but also like there's hydraulics and there's like it doesn't work like the Iron Man suit
Sure.
works, right? And it'll be very crude and very
Yeah.
rudimentary. I would imagine he's probably got like, a chest plate that is reinforced so that if anything like if the gorilla stands on it, he's
Hmm.
fine. And then he's got some kind of hydraulic punch, and you just focus on one arm, right? You just need one to go do 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 do. But even in that situation, any failure, any hydraulic leak, any problem that he has, it's just him, by the way, just him building
Yeah.
that suit. Like I don't know how good his MIG and TIG welding is. Like we'll have to
We'll
find
find
out.
out.
So I in that scenario, I still
Huh.
think the gorilla is like, you know, at the very least pushing him over a couple of times. Some hydraulic fluid leaks, and then boom, gone. No
How
more
many
Elon.
hutches to defeat one gorilla?
Infinite. Like there isn't because also all of the hutches are holding back, right? All of the hutches are forming a circle as wide as possible. They're going to try and find some way to cohabit in that space with the gorilla to avoid conflict. There will obviously there's no resources, right? So we and then all the hutches will perish before the gorilla does, and the gorilla will probably end up going around and cannibalizing them.
Okay, all right. I love the self awareness.
So hang on. Talking of self-awareness, how many tacos?
Oh, okay, so we've established, I think 100 men's way too many men, right? And if we're just basing on average man dropped in, I consider myself to be pretty average, right? I'm decent size. I'm
No, you're way above average in sarcasm
I don't, I'm
and
not sure that's going to help
in
me, but
quality of
I'm
music.
as we've
It's
discussed, this is the 40-year-old DJ. I'm not a young man, but I'm decent size. I'm
mm,
6'3", 215, right? I've got a little bit of heft to me. If I think that 100 average men is an outrageously too high number, I also wouldn't put myself in the 20 men who are like itching to fight a gorilla. So
mm,
50 tacos.
50
Yeah.
tacos. And what would your strategy be? Are you coordinating as a group of tacos? What's the or do you are you connected by hive
I don't think you
mind?
need to strategize because they're like if it's all me, I think we're all thinking kind of the same thing. And I think you're right. I think we need to
Mm,
probably find a way to suffocate it. And so we're going to be trying to grab arms
mm,
and legs, get behind it to try to choke it out, hold it down, choke it out. I think that's possible. I understand
mm.
grills are much, much stronger than tacos, but I think with enough tacos, I think we'd be okay. I think we'd wear it down.
Okay. Well, there was the definitive answer, I think, on that subject. I'm glad we got to the
Yeah.
bottom of that
I'm glad
philosophical
we just spent a
debate
half an hour talking
concluded.
about it. The next one is more interesting, and I think I
Um,
have your answer to it.
okay, okay. I think you probably could guess this as well. Do you want to set the question up, or shall I?
So here's the question that came to us
And
in
who's it from?
Robot Clinic. That's my Robot Clinic me. That's me doing you saying Robot Clinic. You're welcome, America. And the world, not just America. This is global. We have our audience spans the globe.
Mm,
Um, the question was: there are 1,000 grapes before you. For every grape
mm,
that you eat, you get 100,000 US dollars. But one of those grapes is deadly poisonous. How many grapes do you eat?
mm,
And I think
mm. And what?
I think you're not going to risk any grapes. I think you aren't going to eat a single grape. You don't care about the money, even if the odds are pretty good.
Yeah, but that's not pretty good, right? Like, there's potential of upside, which um, if it was the other way, and like most of the grapes get nothing, but one of them earns 100 grand, then yeah, I'd eat a grape. But the downside is so severe, it's so finite that that's not worth 100 grand. Like that's like saying if somebody no, I'm going to completely butcher this because I've forgotten it, but it's that thing of like you get $10 million but you don't wake up tomorrow, right? So it's there's the downside is so severe that there's no money that's
Right.
worth. Like it could be 10 billion and I still wouldn't eat a grape.
So, and that's so valid, right? Like right now, I'm I'm perfectly comfortable. I'm not rich. I'm not even working right now, so should be concerned with money, but we're fine, right? Like we and I don't need $100,000. So it'd be
Hmm.
crazy. It would be crazy to eat any of those grapes. But
I feel like there's a but coming.
but
There
what's
it is.
the thing in my head? I'm absolutely eating grapes, and I'm going to follow this up. And this, I thought this was really interesting because Mrs. Taco had the exact same grape answer as I did, and I laid out the scenario, and she worked through it and had the even the exact same like how she got to that number. Do you want to guess how many grapes we would each independently eat?
I think so. Let me try and work out the thought process. I think some of it has to do with the amount of money and then the percentage chance of grapes. So I reckon you both came to the conclusion that you might eat 10 because that would be $1 million and still only like a 1% chance of death.
You're super close because we both started with that. And this, I worked through it in my brain. Like, what would I do? It's that 1%, which is like, I still think really good odds to not die. But also, you're right. Why am I eating any grapes? This is crazy. So take some back. And the answer for both of us was 7 grapes. Mm-hmm.
7 grapes. Okay, let's go delve a little bit deeper
Yeah.
into this. Are you picking 7 consecutive grapes, or are you picking 7 random grapes?
I'm picking 7 random grapes. They're just in like a big box, right?
Are you inspecting? Are you in? Well, no, I assumed that they were lined up.
There are just a lot of grapes. I'm thinking it's just like a big bowl of grapes in front of me, and
7,000
I'm just gonna
grapes
grab a
aligned.
grape out of the bowl.
Well, presumably the person who is enticing you with this in whatever nightmare horror film this um, is going to let you inspect the grapes. So, in order for them to be inspectable, you would want them laid out rather than in a bowl. And yeah, what's your process? Are you just you're just you don't? It doesn't matter. It's all
I'm assuming they all look the
chance. I'm just going
same.
to pick.
It's not. This isn't some kind of trick. One of those grapes is poisonous. I'm just gonna eat a random grape, and then I'm gonna eat a random grape until I have eaten 7, and then I'll either have $700,000 or I'll be dead. And then my wife is gonna do the same thing right next to me. We're gonna watch each other eat 7 grapes, and the whole time ask, why are you doing this? You could die. We don't need this money. We're gonna watch each other eat these grapes and maybe die for an amount of money that isn't even really truly life changing for us. But I'm even
Yeah.
having this conversation with you. 100% of eating some grapes.
So increase that it's now 1 million per grape. Are you just having one, or are you having 7 still?
Oh, yeah, just one probably.
I love the to
Uh, uh,
imagine
um,
that somebody is reading you the rules, and before they've gotten to the end, you're like, "Mm." And they're like, "Hang on, I haven't finished
It's
yet."
that
You're
it's
like,
that it's that
"I get
bit.
it."
I don't. I would love to give credit for where this sketch existed, where there's like the button, and they're talking about like, if you push this button, X number of people are gonna die. They push the button. It's like I haven't gotten to the any of the rest of the rules. It's like, oh, okay, go on. Yeah, here's 1,000 grapes. If you, go on. Yeah, you're right.
I
Yeah,
love grapes.
yes, yes, please.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I don't. So they're all worth 1 million. That's $1 billion worth of grapes right there. Maybe I would take more. The thinking has to be the same. I would eat more, of course, than just one. One in 1,000. Yeah, I'd probably eat more than one.
So 7 million grapes, or would you go even more?
If there were 1,000 grapes each worth 1 million, I would also eat 7 of those. I think seven's
Mm,
the right number.
okay.
It's less than a 1% chance, and it's enough less that it feels like this isn't super degen, right? And you're not eating a single grape. You're not even tempted.
Yeah. No, you've done some interesting maths there because while it is slightly more risk averse than the degen stuff that you do, with the degen stuff, you might lose 100 quid, 200 quid, 500 quid
Yeah.
at worst. Your life is what you're
Hmm.
gambling with now. So that in turn makes it way more degen.
Yeah.
That's
I guess
crazy.
so.
Crazy.
Then I could go on like a really nice
I
trip.
love it. I love Yeah. Yeah. Uh, to purgatory. I wonder if you get that one grape and it sends you into a infinite space with a gorilla.
just me, just me and a gorilla the whole time, just thinking to myself,
That's
yeah, wow,
purgatory for you. You're like,
Hutch was right. Gorillas are very strong. You're you're much stronger than I thought you were, gorilla. Ah! Yeah, yeah. Hey, I think we
oh,
have a little bit of time. Can we follow up on something that we discussed last week? Uh,
yes. Are we going to put other people? If we're the Pope, the Web3 Pope, and Betty is Mary, then who else do we put in the on the Last Supper of Web3? Is that what
I
we're
don't.
going to?
No,
For
no.
another time. Let's do that
Save
another
it.
time.
Save
Fun
it.
one for
I
next week.
do. I First of all, Betty doesn't watch this. Does she know that you bring her up in every single one of these podcasts? Somehow Betty is referenced. Um, we're buying her products. We're
I
shouting
am
out the things that she's doing. We want her to be the Mary in our
nativity scene.
whatever universe this is. I love that. She has no
Maybe,
idea.
maybe that's the Christmas.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the Christmas
Yeah,
episode.
no one, guys,
No,
do not tell
she
her we're taught. She's
she
going to put out a
acknowledged it.
restraining order against us.
I think I even tagged her in something as well because I mean I'm not gonna lie. I'm a Dead Fellas
Mm-hmm.
fangirl, right? I'm deep into that world. I really love the collection. Um, I'm an equal fan of Psych too. I think as a team they're super. But also she's just the most recognizable person in Web3. So she's a great
Yeah,
reference, right? It's a funny reference. So
yeah,
that's probably why I keep going back to. And also, I'm not keeping up with who's on the scene. Right? Is Artchick still here? Like, is Beanie still around?
yeah.
Who
You're right.
knows? I mean, I know those
Yeah,
are
the
kind of
fact
big
that
people. So
Betty is still at the forefront of all of this is pretty remarkable. You're right.
yeah.
She deserves all the flowers. So last week, this is a hard pivot. You asked me what my expertise was. And I said
Mm,
I wasn't expert at anything. I was a really strong generalist. But I've been thinking
right.
about it since then because it felt like I should have some expertise, right? I've been doing things, I've been doing life for a while. I do have a few that I want to run through just for
Okay.
my own
I'm
benefit.
excited.
If I still had a real therapist, they would tell me, "Hey, listen,
This is this is like an exercise at therapy to come back and think about what you're really good at, things that you're
it
proud of.
100% is." And if maybe I should. Nope, not going to second guess it. No more real therapy, just 40-year-old DJs. So, number one, um, I worked in photography for many, many years. And I would say I'm expert at wedding photography. I want to say photography in general, but I think
Mm,
especially wedding photography. I've
mm,
photographed hundreds of
mm.
weddings. I'm great at it. I know the industry. I could even say expert at weddings, but wedding photography specifically. My next one,
Lovely.
I am expert at knowing people in a way.
Mm,
So doing interviews, like in a previous role, I interviewed thousands of people and knowing which candidates made sense, which people didn't make sense. When I meet people, I spend time with them. I know which people at a pretty high clip. This is a good person, someone I want to work with. This person is shady, and maybe not everyone recognizes it, but I recognize it. So evaluating
mm,
humans as people, and I think as talent.
mm.
So I've managed a lot of people, and like, oh, no one thinks this person is a star. They don't know they're a star, but I know that they're a star. And so if I work with them, if I coach them up, they could be a star, and making that person a star and be like, I knew it. Or other people are like, I know this person isn't a star. They're never going to be a star. Who hired them?
That's a lovely speciality. And actually, wedding photography as well. That must be a real privilege and a real nice thing to have been a part of people's days. That's nice.
Yeah, it's not for everybody, but I
That's really
really
nice.
enjoyed it. Also,
Hmm.
my this is a weird one that hasn't benefited me in real life, uh, but I've done a lot of testing for different things, and this shouldn't come up in testing, but it does. My spatial recognition is absolute Olympic level, one of one,
Wow.
where the only way it works at home is like there's X amount of leftovers, and I know the right size container to put the leftovers in. But knowing things, if a thing will fit into another thing, I'm you don't know anybody better at this game. And my wife is she hates it slash loves it because she'll go to like do a thing. I'm like, that's not going to fit in there. It's like, well, you don't know. And then she tries, and it doesn't fit in there. It's like, oh, how are you so good at this? I don't know. I don't know what part of your brain is in charge of that, but I know
Hmm.
what things
So
will fit. Yeah.
volumetric assessment,
Mm-hmm.
because spatial awareness is like
Yeah.
you're
Yeah. Yeah.
aware of your
Yeah.
surroundings and whatever. You're specifically talking about, like, if so what you're saying is a perfect career for you to utilize that skill would be quantity
Yes.
surveyor. Like, you can look at a building and you can know how many bricks it needs.
I know what I know if
Or if you're transporting bricks, you know how many trucks you need.
like that, or if you have a big pile of bricks, I know which bricks are going to fit in what spaces and how many, and then what Tupperware to use for your lunch. Yeah. If you're parking a car, is that
I
car
love
going to
it.
fit in there? It's not going to fit in there. Can I squeeze through this thing? You can
I
squeeze through this thing. You can't squeeze through that thing. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, good. Well, I'm glad we covered that off. And it's important. This is something I learned from Americans 10 years or so ago. Very important to be vocal about your talents. So I respect that. I would definitely agree with the middle one. I know how good a judge of character you are, and that comes across in a lot of good ways, in the sense that if Taco likes you, you're a likable person. Like, that's a good
Mm-hmm.
endorsement. And if you like Taco, that's a very good judge of character. Um, so yeah, this was
I
wonderful.
could have gone into
This, I think, was
HR.
the best
Maybe could have
podcast.
been a good career for me if I had gone in that direction. Maybe. No, I don't want to. I don't want to
Yeah,
work with
I don't know
people
if it.
necessarily. A hiring manager is better.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. There's something very deeply creative about you, Taco, and I think that probably comes out most in the photography, right? But you're also a very accomplished musician as well. I've learned,
Super
so
accomplished.
I think the
Find me on
world's
the Gala
your
Music
oyster.
platform. Don't buy
Whoop,
those
whoop.
NFTs, guys. It's not you're not going to get the rewards you want out of those. Just mine specifically. Maybe somebody else's. I don't know. I mean, go buy my NFTs on Gala. Hey, everybody! Thanks for coming this week. Good to see you. And tune in next week for our 10-week anniversary show.